Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In today's video, I would like to explain the slash teleport command and slash TP because they are synonyms from one another. Um, so yeah, this will be in terms of how it is used for data packing, less of a just explanation of how it is used in general, but if you just want to know how it's used in general, this will, generally speaking, suffice for that. It is slightly overkill, but it will work. Um, yeah, so there will be first a bit of the theoretical side of this is how it actually works, as in these are the values that you have to give it for it to function. And then I will give a bunch of examples of uses for it, like raycasting and projectiles and cool things like that. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started on the theoretical side, shall we? Alright, so how does slash teleport actually work? Well, first of all, obviously slash teleport, or slash TP, depending on which one you want. It has no real differences. I always use slash TP because I am old-fashioned. Then you have a selector, which selects which entities you want to teleport. This can be 1, this can be 2, this can be 500. It doesn't matter how many. After that, you have a couple options. First of all, you can teleport to another entity. Main thing with that is that you need to make sure that that can only ever be 1. So if you would teleport every entity with tag A to every entity with tag B, even though there might only be one entity with tag B, that will not run because the game is like, well, maybe there are 2. So as a result, you need to say limit equals 1 so that it says, hey, if you find 1, be happy with that. So yeah. Then as the next option, you have coordinates. Kind of 2 different things for that. You can either have a fixed coordinate, like slash TP right there, and then I go right there. Or you can say, hey, I want to go 1 in the negative x direction, so TP at S. And then you have those wonderful squiggly lines. And then you have just this, you run it, and you go this way. So just either you have a fixed location or it is relative to the player. But there's actually also another option, which was actually revolutionary, and that's the delightful whatever these things are called. I have no idea. But if you run this, then you actually teleport in the direction that you're looking. So you can tell that's actually to be flying, so gravity doesn't affect me. I fly in the direction that I'm looking. This might not seem all that useful, but a very obvious use for this is actually projectiles. You can summon an armor stand, make that armor stand look in the same direction you are, and then make it constantly go forwards. And then if it hits anything, it explodes. Really simple, really easy way of creating a projectile. I'll show that in a lot of exquisite detail later on. But that's basically all that there is for the actual position. Then there is also, if you have coordinates, this doesn't work with if you teleport to another entity, because if I teleport to another player, I am looking in the same direction the other player is. But if I teleport to fixed coordinates, I can also specify the rotation, whether or not that is fixed numbers or relative to my active rotation. Like I can say this, and then I just start turning slowly and slowly and slowly. Let's make it a bit quicker for the sake of convenience. You can see I just start spinning around. So those are 2 options. The other option is that you say facing an entity of, let's say, command tree. So anytime that I'm around, if I run this command, I teleport to my location, but looking at command tree. Also, in case you are wondering, yes, I don't know what happened to the rest of my recording. But yeah. There is also one thing that I should warn you for. If you use the relative coordinates to say, hey, /dp at s up on block, then, you know, obviously it works if I run it, but if you have a command block or a function running that command, then what you have as a result is that it teleports to where the command block is, or in case of a function, where the function is being run from. So, 0, 0. So what you would have to do is make it an execute command. So say, hey, execute as command witchery, added as run TP out one block, and then that would work. So if I now give add as command block, then anytime that I press the button that I am yet to place because I didn't have a button yet, you see I teleport up one block. But if I wouldn't have done that, then anytime I press the button, well, then I had the wrong selector. And then it teleports me up to the command block, which I guess is also kind of useful, but not really that useful. Yeah, that is something that you should keep in mind. But yeah, apart from that, that's basically all that there is to the theoretical side of /teleport. Very easy, very short, definitely didn't take ages. It's fine. But yeah. Now I would like to show some actual use cases. More specifically, the main use case of making a projectile. So yeah, it has the full system of, you know, detecting right click and everything else. So it does use tag, scoreboard, and execute for all of that. So if you haven't seen those videos yet, you might get confused. If you want to watch those first, that is what I would recommend. But yeah, let's get going. Alright, so what I made with /teleport is this. And it doesn't, also for the reason that it stops there is because it runs into my desk. It has a hitbox. But yeah, I can just spam this. I could even just hold right click and just spam projectiles forever and ever and ever. Yeah, this would basically just be a magic wand. Like literally if I just add actually just one line of particle which right here with 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.1, say 3, just to add extra spectacle, then you can tell now all of a sudden it is magic. And if I just put it a tiny bit faster, 0.5 for example, now you can tell this is just magic spells. So yeah, let's really quickly show how this actually works. Alright, so first of all, I have kind of forgotten to show you in the actual files what the frame reference is, but if you're ever wondering, then the name is generally a good giveaway, because something that is run for every single player, I generally name player. Something that's just run every single tick, I name tick. Everything that is like an entity, then it has some proper name, like projectile over here. So yeah, basically, let's just start with being able to fire. So this is the exact same as what I did in my scoreboard tutorials for right-click detection. I literally, like there's no difference. So yeah, just if you right-click with a warped fungus on a stick, then you fire projectile, right? And this is a bit complicated, but not that much, right? So you summon an armor stand with a tag of projectile. It's also small, and it's a marker, and it doesn't have gravity. You know, some simple things to make it more efficient. Then you add a tag to the player to specify it is firing. Then, as the projectile, sorry, no, not even as projectile, as every projectile that doesn't have this tag old, which is only ever the latest projectile, at its position, run teleport itself to the nearest player with a tag of firing, which will only ever be the player that fired, because here it is removed, like it's given and instantaneously removed, right? So you won't ever have a tag of firing. And then I simply specify that the projectile is old, so it doesn't keep changing its angle or anything weird like that. Then instead of tick, the classic, you know, like I showed in the tag tutorial, hey, as every entity with this tag at their position, run this function, but now there's actually stuff in here. Right. This is to ensure that slabs function, which might not seem like a big deal, but my podium is on a slab, and otherwise it would not work. So yeah, basically, this says, hey, teleport 0.5 blocks forward, right? Just teleport forward in the direction that you're looking. Because when I said fire projectile and I teleported the entity to myself, what that does is not only position, also rotation. So this is now looking in the same direction that I was when I fired. Meaning that when I make it teleport forwards, it just goes where I was looking, resulting in projectile of magic coolness and stuff. What this is, in simple terms, if there is not air or a light block, you've hit an object and you should stop. If you would have a rocket launcher or something, then this could also be a place explosion particles. But for me, this works. Then this is also quite an interesting thing. Basically what this is, it's just a timer. So I say, hey, add a score of 1 to my timer. If my score is 100, so it has existed for 5 seconds, also make it go away, because I don't want to have an infinite amount of these causing lag. Yeah, that would have been really bad. And then just some particles, right? And now I feel like I'm kind of obligated to explain this half, aren't I? Yeah, okay. So, what I needed to know... Oh, I understand why this wasn't working. Oh, it just magically worked. That's so cool. I love that. Right, now it might be inversed. 1 second. Would you look at that? Everything is fine and I changed nothing. Right. So, basically, I want to know whether or not the entity is on the top half or the bottom half of the block, right? Because if it's in the bottom half, then it should get removed if there is any bottom slab. If it's in the upper half, then it should be able to fly over those, right? But it should be collisioning into a top slab, right? And that's a bit complicated to actually find out. So what I do is I put that into a score. So what this is just, hey, get the Y value, right? What this 2 is that is a modifier. So what this says now is get the Y value times 2. Meaning that if it is even, then I know it's on one half. And if it's uneven, then I know it's on the other. And that's cool and all, but now I would have to check every single even and uneven number, and that's a bit much. So here I use modulo just like I did in my scoreboard tutorial, and I make it on a scale of 0 to 1. Ta-da! That's basically it. So now I can say, hey, if you are not in the upper half, then this makes no sense at all. I think my naming is still off somehow, even though I changed it just a moment ago again for the third time. Anyhow, it's functional, okay, and that's all that matters. So yeah, if it's 0, then if there is a top slab, then you should still continue. No, my naming system is right. Yeah, it does make sense. And if it is on the upper half, then okay, it really doesn't. Never mind. Wow. I guess I just woke up and I am really not capable of coding, huh? Right. Yeah. I'm sure you understand it better than me, clearly. But yeah. That's basically all that there is to it. It's a bit complicated because it uses a multitude of commands. Execute, scoreboard, and tag. And you can tell how those really are the essential commands, because apart from this data command and this particle command, and I guess also this, kill@s command, there isn't really anything else done. So yeah, that is quite nice, and honestly it's quite representative of how data packs generally work. It is quite a lot of those 3 commands, but for the thing that I wanted to make a tutorial on, I needed to also explain teleport, because I wanted to create a projectile thing, right? Meaning that I needed to explain teleport. Because now I can just link to this video, and now you understand how teleport works, and you understand how it works in terms of creating a projectile. Meaning I can go ahead and make a really cool thing now and, do stuff. Yes! Assuming that I finish my building in time. But yeah. That's all that there is to the actual code. Now, I might be able to think of another example. Might be able to just change some stuff, make it a bit different, make it a bit nicer. But if I'm not, then that's honestly all that I have to showcase. I realized that I also promised how to explain how to rotate while teleporting. And I did not do that. So yeah, that's just gonna be here. And I fire. Now you can tell it has a turn. If I fire straight that way, you can tell it lands in that wall because it constantly rotates in that direction. I don't know, it looks quite cool. It's not really useful in this rotation. I have used this in the past on the vertical, so, like this, to make it look down more and more and more, to add a very easy concept of gravity. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like this would be a more good demonstration of, look, it rotates. I felt like this would be quite clear. So yeah, let's really quickly just show the one difference in the code. Right, so the difference is in projectile, not MC function. And basically all that there is to it is just saying, hey, teleport myself in the direction that I'm looking, half a block, and rotate 3 degrees towards the positive direction on the horizontal axis. That's all that there is to it. I could also make this a negative, so it would rotate the other way. I could also change this to a fixed number, meaning it would always go in the same direction regardless of how you're rotating. That would be a bit stupid, but it would work. But yeah, that's kind of all that there is to it. Really quite simple, and yeah, quite nice. Alright, yeah, that's all that I have to show on the /teleport command. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, then consider leaving a like and subscribing and stuff, and you know, because 7 away from 1,000 now. And... But yeah, with that all said and done, I hope you enjoyed and learned something, and see you in the next one. Bye everyone.